Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in. If you've got a kid with ADHD, I am willing to bet you know exactly what I'm talking about when I bring up the after-school pickup. It is a universal daily struggle, right? You're sitting there so eager to hear about their day. You want all those meaningful details about what they learned and who they played with, and instead, bam, you hit an absolute brick wall. And honestly, here is the exact roadblock we all hit. You ask the classic go-to question, how was your day? And your kid gives you that singular conversation-ending word, fine. Or, maybe just a grunt if you're lucky. The truth is, this interaction is fundamentally broken. Think about it. For kids with ADHD, who might literally be actively avoiding talking about a really difficult day, throwing this generic question at them, it's basically an invitation for them to just shut down entirely. So let's get into section 1, why school is a slog and understanding the silence. To really get this, we have to flip the script and look at things entirely from the child's perspective. It is so easy to see that silence in the backseat as, stubbornness or them just being moody, but we really need to reframe that as profound exhaustion. Think about the number 7. For a lot of kids with ADHD, school is not just this breezy place of easy learning and hanging out with friends. It's a grueling 7 hours. 7 solid hours of battling distractions, trying to meet neurotypical expectations, and often falling short. And honestly, probably feeling kind of bad about themselves. It's a daily marathon of masking and just sheer effort. Which brings us to a really crucial point. Who would want to talk about those experiences every day? Seriously, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you just survived a deeply frustrating workday. A day where you felt like you couldn't do anything right and your brain was just working against you the whole time. The absolute last thing you'd want is an open-ended request for a full recap, right? To a kid, that doesn't feel like parental curiosity. It feels like a dreaded audit. Let's move on to section 2, the question strategy, or what I like to call finding the conversational backdoor. This is where we bring in Liz Evans. She's a mom of 3, a former educator, and honestly, she totally cracked the code here. She managed to transform her own kids' one-word grunts into actual full-sentence conversations using super targeted questions. Take a look at this first one. What was the best thing that happened at school today? It is such a simple pivot, but it completely bypasses that giant defense wall of fine. It forces them to retrieve one specific positive memory rather than asking them to summarize their entire exhausting 7-hour ordeal. And then let's look at the flip side, because this is equally powerful. What was the worst thing that happened at school today? The psychology behind this is actually fascinating. By explicitly asking for the worst thing, ironically, you make it so much safer for your child to share a negative experience. There's no pressure to pretend everything was awesome. You're giving them a designated space to just vent about one specific bad moment, process it, and move on, all without having to summarize the whole entire day. Or, how about this approach? Where's the coolest place at the school? I absolutely love this one. Shifting the focus to a physical, geographical location completely takes the pressure off of how they performed academically or behaviorally. It is a completely neutral topic, but it really often sparks these surprisingly detailed stories about what happened at recess or who was in the library or some secret hidden corner of the playground. All right, moving into section 3, uncovering hidden issues and the alien technique. Okay, so some of the most playful, totally absurd-sounding questions are actually brilliant diagnostic tools for parents. Check out this highly imaginative prompt. If an alien spaceship came to your class and beamed someone up, who would you want them to take? This is an absolute favorite of Evan's. By bringing in aliens and spaceships, you're creating this completely non-threatening backdoor right into the complex. And let's be real, sometimes really stressful, social dynamics of their classroom. Just like Evans notes, the alien question gives kids a non-threatening way to say who they would rather not have in their class, potentially uncovering issues you didn't even know about. The absolutely crucial thing here is that this framing prevents your child from feeling like they're being interrogated about bullies or drama. To them, they're just playing a funny sci-fi game with you. But you are quietly gathering vital social intelligence. And man, the insights you get from this can be genuinely surprising. Evans actually shared this great anecdote where she asked her kids who they wouldn't want to sit by. Now, she fully expected a story about the classroom bully, but instead, she found out that one of her kids actually wanted to sit away from their best friend. And it wasn't even because of a fight. She simply wanted a chance to branch out and work with other people. That is such a nuanced insight, and it's one you would literally never get from a generic, "How was your day?" Let's look at section 4, expanding the toolkit and more ways to spark connection. We're going to group the rest of this strategy into some easy-to-remember categories so you have a whole bunch of ready-to-use prompts. First up, the fun and silly approach. You can ask things like, tell me something that made you laugh today, or tell me a weird word that you heard today, or even, who is the funniest person in your class? Focusing on humor and absurdity just completely disarms a stressed-out kid. It signals right off the bat that you aren't looking for a progress report on their math test. You just want to connect with them over a good laugh. Next, we have what we call the social navigators. Try asking, whom would you like to sit by in class? How did you help somebody today? Or how did somebody help you today? These prompts are amazing because they help your child map out their daily social connections. For kids with ADHD, who might occasionally struggle with reading social cues or navigating relationships, these specific questions help them consciously practice empathy and actually recognize the positive interactions they're having with peers. Finally, we have the reflective prompts. When were you the happiest today? When were you bored today? Or honestly, simply, what was your favorite part of lunch? These questions safely invite your child to reflect on their own emotional state and their daily routine without feeling judged in any way. Like asking when they were bored, that validates that it is perfectly okay to feel bored during a long school day, which makes them way more likely to actually open up to you about it. And finally, Section 5, staying engaged, and the long-term play. Look, we have to remember this isn't just some quick hack for surviving the car ride home this afternoon. This is about your broader parenting journey. Liz Evans had a really powerful realization about this. She said, as my kids get older, I know I'm going to have to work harder to stay engaged with them, but it's going to be worth the work. I think that wonderfully validates the ongoing hard work of being a parent. Replacing a lazy conversational habit with intentional, specific questions, it's not always easy, especially when you are exhausted too, but it is a critical long-term investment in your relationship and ultimately in your child's trust. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Which backdoor question will you try on the ride home today? I challenge you, right here, right now, to officially retire "how was your day" from your vocabulary. Just toss it out. Swap it for one of these specific, imaginative prompts instead. Honestly, you might be completely amazed at the incredible conversations that are just waiting to be unlocked.